Like no the hourglass, the ease of the songs of our lives. Hello and welcome to episode number 31 of Songs of Our Lives. I'm Brad Rose. I'm a musician, a composer, a writer, the founder of Foxy, Digitalis, and somebody who thinks about music and sound far more than is healthy. Each week, I invite on a guest and we talk about the songs and the music that have been important to them and been with them throughout their life. Previous guests include Ilyas Ahmed, The Body, Sarah Hennies, Claire Rousset, Helado Negro, and so many others. But this week, old friend of Foxy Digitalis, not saying that Ben is old, but old friend of Foxy Digitalis, Ben Chasny, aka Six Organs of Admittance, is on the show. I've known Ben for quite a while. I always been grateful that he is just somebody who's always really supportive of the site, of Digitalis label back in the day. I still remember when I asked him if he would give me a song for the first compilation that Digitalis did, Gold Leaf Branches, back in 2005, I think, 5 or 6. And I started working on like 2004. But anyway, and this was before anybody really knew what the label was. He was like, yeah, sure. And so there's a really killer live version of 1,000 Birds on there. But yeah, so Ben's got a new Six Organs of Admittance album out called Time is Glass. Comes out April 26th on Drag City. It's excellent. It's like peak Six Organs. Like, I don't know. To me, it's what I want out of a Six Organs record. Although I really love that last one on Three Love, which was so different. It was like glam and guitar solos, and that was something I didn't know I wanted out of a Six Organs record, but I loved. And I'll put a link in the show notes. Actually, when that came out, I did an interview with Ben where we just talked about our favorite guitar solos. So that was fun. Anyway, yeah, Time is Glass. I can't recommend it enough. This was a lot of fun. I was like getting somebody on here who I've known for a long time and haven't had these kind of conversations with, because they end up being really eye opening and just have a good time. So recorded this a couple weeks ago. Hope you all enjoy. My guest today is a musician, a songwriter, a shredder, and someone who, believe it or not, helped put me on the map, for better or worse. Everybody, welcome to the show. It is Ben Chasny. Woo. And you're probably wondering, what the hell am I talking about?
We did that comp. I remember I was on comp.
Yeah, that live solo version of 1,000 Birds, which I still love. Like, that's such a good version of that song.
And it was a bit of controversy because of our liner notes. Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, you put I asked you to put the late great Ben Chasny, and then you had other people writing to you asking if I had passed away.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. Oh man, God, that's a lifetime ago. Well, you're still here, still alive and kicking.
Yeah. You are too.
So you got a new record out, Time is Glass. It's out on April 26th. It's your last record. We did an interview about guitar solos in relation to your last record, which was a lot of fun. The one on Three Load, which the name totally escapes me now.
Yeah, the names, all of my records escape me all the time. I would not feel bad. I always have to look it up on Google or something. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
But this is like, I don't want to say it's like it's in the realm of, I don't know, man. It's a different kind of record. It's
kind of what people think a Six Organs record sounds like if they don't really know what I do in general, but they've kind of heard about me.
But to me, like, it feels like this, because it does go back, like, I don't know, there are parts that remind me of past records, but it feels like this really, I don't know, like it just feels different to me. But I'm curious, like one of the things that I keep when I was reading the liner notes or the description or whatever that I really liked about was talking about like the visceral environment of home. And I thought that was such a cool statement.
Mm.
It just stuck out to me, and I'm just kind of curious, like talk to me about that. What is that?
Well, the one sheets are written by a fellow named Ryan Murphy at Drag City, and they usually we get together and we talk about the record for like an hour or two, and he takes notes, and then he's really good at what he does, so he's always doing some funny stuff. And so he kind of came up with that term. I guess I was just talking about how I recorded it. I mean, Veiled Sea was also recorded at home, but it was I don't know. I think we were just trying to convey that it it was similar to previous records in the early days when I would record at home. So
Yeah,
the visceral aspect, I suppose, is just not being separated from your life. Such
man.
as when you go to a studio, you're sort of separated from your life, and you can, uh, yeah, um, block things off. But here,
Is that like a hard thing? Because I mean, that's I know that feeling because I work from home and uh separating the two thing. Like, can you turn it off?
no, it's very tough. That's why half the record was recorded up at my friend Donovan's house. He has this little cottage that I stayed at for, and I just couldn't finish the record because life just is so busy. I mean, it's insane. There's always something to do.
Yeah,
There's always something to do instead of recording or making music. I mean, I just, as life goes on, it's just so many things to do. So I had to actually get away from my own home just so, you know, these things weren't on my mind. So yeah.
yeah. I no. I mean, that's yeah. I don't know. I haven't figured out. I feel like there's maybe some kind of magic trick to being able to turn it off and on, but I haven't figured it out. So,
Yeah, it's very hard. It's super
uh,
hard.
yeah. Was there particular like did you I don't know like you've done the last couple have been recorded at home, right? Like when was the last one you did in a studio?
I haven't been in the studio since, well, technically the Burning the Threshold record, I recorded the acoustic guitar tracks at home, but then I went into the studio with Cooper Crane from Bitch and Bajas.
Mm.
So that was kind of the last time I was in a studio to do stuff, and then we did the whole rest of the record in the studio.
Is it mostly just the practicality of all, like
Sort of, I spend so much time with the music that it's really hard for me to go in a studio because I'm always listening to the songs, changing the songs, writing new things, and I just don't have the budget to go in a studio for 2 months.
right?
So it just makes more sense because I'm acting as my own producer as well to be able to just do everything at home.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the main reason.
Do you have like certain because one of the things too that talked about was like how you would spend time with music and then you would get away from it, like like go on a walk or just like get it, and then I'm curious how that sort of approach. I mean, I guess that's your general, but like how that impacts. I don't know, sort of like the final thing we hear.
The going on the walks was still integrating myself into the record because I would do mix downs and listen to the mix downs on the walk. And that's
Oh
actually
man,
when I would write most of the things because I would think I would listen to the melodies and new ideas would come up, a new word, or oh, I should do a harmony there, or no, that melody is not working. So most of the restructuring of the record happened and I had just gotten a new dog. And so I was walking all the time. She was a puppy driving me nuts. So I had to walk her. She's a mix of breeds that needs to run like 5 miles a day. So I had to go on these walks. So I put on the earbuds, listen to the latest mix, and then restructure things and write things.
that's some impressive multitasking.
I had to, yeah. There was no other way. And then otherwise, I would just get so frustrated with being taken away from my work because of the dog. So it was cool to integrate the two. So yeah,
That's
the dog,
interesting because
dog was a
like
big part of it.
I go on walks like every day. It's like kind of part of my it was a health thing couple years ago, but then it's just become a thing. And that's like the one time that I make myself get away from, like,
right. It's the opposite. You're getting away.
It's, I mean, it'll be the same thing. It'll be similar that like I won't be listening to something I'm working on, but while I'm away from it, like I'll be like, oh, when I get back, I gotta.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't really turn it off, but
yeah. The walks are a way for me to refocus on, or I want to get an idea, so I'll go for a walk.
Yeah.
That, basically.
Well, I'm going to ask a little bit more about the record as we get into this. I also do just want to say that "Slip Away," the song, is fucking gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Really, really love that song.
Thank you.
But we're going to get into what we're here for, and we're going to start, as always, with the question of Ben Chasny. What is the first song that you remember?
Well, what I have an answer, and then I started to think if that was even true. But my answer is the theme to Dukes of Hazzard, right. Because I think I remember songs from the TV before I remember other songs. And then I thought, well, maybe if that's true, maybe it was actually the theme to the Love Boat. Now, it could have been the theme to the Love Boat. This was all around the same era, if anyone was wondering how old I am. And theme to the Love Boat. And then, or it could have been Three's Company. Could have been the theme to Three's Company. So,
yeah, I have a really visceral memory of the theme to, oh man, The Fall Guy, Lee Majors.
There you go. I don't remember that theme. That's interesting. Yeah, but you remember it stuck in your head. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. It's as soon as I read Dukes of Hazzard theme, like that's where my brain went. Was like I remember again, like watching Dukes of Hazzard and Fall Guy, Knight Rider, all those 70s and 80s shows.
It also could have been the one that I remember is the celebration song from the Ewoks at the end of Return of the Jedi, when the dancing, which Lucas changed when Lucas did all things. It's not the original, but one of the first records I ever had was the soundtrack to that. Oh, my dad got it for me, and the last song is the Ewok celebration.
I have like I used to have that record, and I remember this was like when I was 16 or something, and I was getting into punk rock and stuff, and I became friends with this girl who was also like this, in the scene or whatever, and we bonded over that song. Like it was like called like Yub Nubby Chub or something, and
yeah. I mean, it's funny. Yeah, I remember it very well. And I think I don't know if this is why they changed it, but when you go back and listen to it, it's pretty illegal. I think there's some indigenous appropriation going on that's not very cool at all. And I don't know if that's why but the new one's different, but that definitely was a song. It was also one of the only songs with singing on it on that record, because the other song was the song from Jabba's Palace that kind of had like a funky, also language sort of thing. So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and the Dukes of Hazzard. So like, obviously, it's like a Waylon Jennings song, or he sings. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Like,
it is Waylon.
Are you a fan of Waylon?
Yeah, I do like Waylon. There's a really good version of that song. I heard it live. I didn't hear it live. I heard it. It's live, and you can hear it on YouTube. And he adds a whole verse to it about how his mom is disappointed because he wrote this song for this hit TV series, but he doesn't have any money. It's really great. He sings this whole extra verse in the middle of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find that. Like for these shows, I always make a like YouTube playlist of all the pics that I link in here. So I'm gonna try to find that version to link on here because that sounds awesome. I hadn't thought of the Dukes of Hazzard in a long time. I was just reading about it again. It was just like, oh man.
Yeah, another one. All of my picks are a bit problematic. That's what was going on in the 80s. A bunch of stuff that, thankfully, it's not like that now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what is a song that makes you cry?
So this one, I would like to preface this answer by saying I did not choose this in order to present myself as some person who understands music and it's just the musicality of it. It's so, also I'm not a total robot, but I might be a robot because songs with lyrics that are supposed to make you cry don't usually make me. They don't make me cry. I always feel manipulated by them. In the same way, I
Oh,
don't really watch a lot of movies or film. I'm very I just don't know a lot about it because I
mhm.
often feel very manipulated. So it's like a defense
Yeah,
mechanism, and so maybe
right.
it's a defense mechanism when I hear a song that's supposed to be sad. I'm like, ah, whatever. But my answer is Jimi Hendrix's Machine Gun, and it does. I the solo. I don't know what it is. I'll not, and by crying out, I mean bawling.
Right.
But I will always get teary during
Yeah.
it. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure we talked about this the last time we did the guitar solos
Mm,
conversation, because this is like one of the greatest guitar solos in the history of
yeah,
the world.
I don't know. After your questions, I went back and listened to it a lot too, and there's just no. I mean, part of there's can't really put your finger on what it is. I mean, the way he bends notes, you have 100 cents um, in between each semitone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have 100 levels of from one semitone to another. So when he bends a note, I mean, I haven't put it in a tuner to find the exact cent that he's bending it to, but it must be some sort of intuition where I don't know, maybe it's like 4 cents below or three.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but perhaps there's a way that he's intuitively bending notes that is a way that hits a mark that nobody else bends notes in a particular way. Now, this is trying to break it down scientifically, which I don't think you could do. I think it's
Sure.
just a thing. But if I were to break it down, I think it might have something to do with the exact where place that he bends some notes, especially on those two notes that he bends that are like the two. I
Oh
think we
yeah.
talked about this last time. The two greatest notes in like all of guitar solo history.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, that it's yeah, it's like up until that point, it's incredible. But it's like those notes. It's just like, I don't know. It's like transcending, like
yeah.
seeing God or something. It's
It,
so
it moves me, and I always get teary eyed during that too. And then maybe the intro a bit because it's a very sad time. Tying it
mhm.
into protests in Vietnam, and he does I mean, just in that little intro where he says this is for all the soldiers fighting, but he doesn't say Vietnam first. He says Chicago, Milwaukee, and then almost as an aside says, oh yeah, I'm fighting in Vietnam. And he just perfectly ties in the
Mhm.
war machine to all the colonialist aspects to it right back to home. Like it's one
Yeah.
war machine, like, and just how he just says it almost just nonchalantly, but it's such a
Right.
heavy one, and so serious and just absolutely just as relevant to this moment that I'm talking to you right now about
Yep.
everything and yeah. So
Yeah.
pretty heavy.
Yeah. That was what I hadn't listened to it in, I don't know, it hadn't been that long, but it had been a minute, and I was like, especially since like all the stuff with
Yeah.
Palestine that's going on. Like, and I was listening to it the other day and was just, it's like, man, this is, yeah, like you said, it is just as important, poignant. Like now, I mean, it hits, it nails it,
I
and
mean that statement about that he comments on the domestic aspect of it,
mhm.
cracking down uh as just tying it in to um the part in Vietnam. I mean it's yeah, pretty heavy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, on the flip side, what's the song that'll put you in a better mood?
Probably Prince's "Let's Go Crazy."
Oh hell yeah, yeah,
Kind of hard to listen to that song and be bummed out.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's when I did this a couple weeks ago with Cab Aired, and they they made up some of their own questions for the Patreon
Hmm.
section, and one was like, um, what's a song that makes you always makes you move, and like this wasn't their pick, but this was like, I thought, like, I was like, this is a song is, if I hear it, yeah, I can't be in a bad mood, and it makes me want to get up and just move.
Yeah.
It's so, like,
Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
ripper.
It's great. Yeah, great song. And obviously amazing guitar solo on that one too. But I mean,
Right.
some of that. probably nostalgia because I definitely was a kid when that came out on the radio and listening to it as well. It's hard to separate the nostalgia from some of that, but besides the nostalgia, still, yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Prince has some great guitar solos if we want to talk. Like,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. It is an amazing guitar player. One of my favorites.
Yeah. Somebody had reminded me of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing with Tom Petty and when they were playing the George Harrison thing. And yeah, I still like just throwing your guitar up in the air and walking off is like one of the most badass moves ever.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very lyrical player too. It's not just a series of, we talked about this last time too. It's not
Yeah.
just a series of interlocking, almost like Lego style solos where you have these different blocks and you put them together. He has moves, but they flow very well and they're very, I mean, yeah, it's very lyrical.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like either of these last two, especially, Machine Gun could have been picked for this next one, but what is objectively the best song of all time?
Well, now this is where I'm mixing things up. I would say Melvins with Teeth. I think that they nailed it with that song. It's perfect. It's just the right length. So it makes you want to listen to it over and over and over again. The structure of it is classic Melvins. How did they put this together? It's not, and the melody is great. And Joe's bass line carries the melody, or not the melody. It carries a chord progression because Buzz is droning on the E, or he might be down tuned, but Joe's bass is playing Joe's bass goes down and goes up, but the guitar is playing one note. And then when that last thing they lock, Buzz hasn't been changing, but Joe's been changing. And then Joe locks up with Buzz on that last chord. And that's part of the thing I think makes it so heavy. And it's just, I think the melody's really sad. And yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. That's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, I love this one. Melvins played here sometime last year. I don't remember what it was, but the best thing was, I mean, it was killer, but the best thing was just like, I was at a bookstore that day, like my favorite, and like Buzz just walks in. Like he's just like popping around town. Like somebody saw him at Whole Foods. And I don't know why, like the image of Buzz Osborne in Whole Foods is kind of perfect.
That's cool. He was at Primavera, and Melvins played at Primavera, and I was there with Six Organs, and he, right after the Melvins played, he just popped back into the hotel and just went right up to the people, like, cut my wristband off. Like, he was done. Like, no reason. He was like, I'm done. Put the wristband on. I'm going to take off. I don't need to see any of it. But for some reason, it was so cool. It was like classic Buzz. He's like, I'm done. Cut my wristband off. I don't do this.
Oh man, that's amazing. I'm maybe I'm forcing this here, but I've always thought there's sort of spiritual connection between the Melvins and like some Comet stuff. So I'm just
well, yeah. I mean, I've been a big fan. And then you trio from Comets. We were in a band together in high school, and like a high school punk band, and we opened up for the Melvins. So would be, I think it was around 91. They were touring Lysol.
Oh shit.
So, and our memory is that they showed up a little late, so we were doing our sound check, and we were just kids. I wouldn't say, and they walk in while we're doing our sound check. So we're doing our sound check. They walk in the side door. Buzz kind of pauses, tilts his head a little bit to hear what we're doing, and just shakes his head in disgust. It's just like,
oh man.
But I don't know. I love that story too. Like I love the Cranky Buzz stories. So
I mean, hey, you've been at this, like, doing it as hard as he has for as long as he has. Like, yeah. That's great. So you kind of turned this my explanation of this past question into its own question, which I think is great, which is like, if an alien showed up and you were trying to show them the height of sonic achievement, what would it be?
Yeah, I took you very literal at your question. Yes. And so you have to consider, because if I was to play, if it was like, if if your sister showed up and you wanted to play her The Height, then that would be a different song. If it was my mom, that would be a different song. But since it's an alien, I have to try to appeal to them.
Yeah.
So I said that I would play the Carpenters calling occupants of interplanetary Earth. And I think that, I could sit down with the alien and they would understand that it was a friendly gesture.
Uh-huh.
And I hope that they're being nice. And I think that song is amazing too. So,
oh yeah, I mean the part of that song where it's like in the chorus where it's just like the synth and Karen Carpenter and there's like nothing else. I could listen out on a loop for just hours.
It's so good.
Oh
and the fuzz tone on that solo is so killer. I was turned on to that song by my friend Catherine, who used to work at Drag City. She did publicity at Drag City for like 10 years. She just quit a couple months ago. And when I turned in the Companion Rises record to Drag City, she immediately hit me back and said, have you heard this song? Because your whole vibe on Companion Rises is this song with the fuzz solo and that. And then, I just fell in love with it.
That's great. And I always think about like the beginning skit feels like this like precursor to like hip hop mixtapes or something, and all the skits.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. You also mentioned the Otaker NTS sessions, which I mean, that's music that's made by aliens or something. I don't know, but
I figured sonically it's incredible. I mean, all the tones, and then that would also be something cool to play because maybe that would be able to break through in a way that you couldn't. Maybe they'd say, "Oh, I did not know you humans had such complex emotional language," and to the aliens that is crazy. Maybe they could decipher it for me. Maybe they could tell me what the hell is going on.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, this is actually our language. We speak."
Right, exactly. It reminds me of in Space is the Place where Sun Ra in the engine room is actually their orchestra playing music, in the spaceship that's jamming. So maybe they would be, we can use this for fuel to get back home. I don't know. I figured between the two, hopefully I'd be friends with the guys by then.
Well, and I feel like if they came with ill intentions, like play them that Carpenter song, and you probably that's like diplomacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's a song that you used to love, but recently you've heard it and you think about it now, and it's not really your thing? Doesn't do it for you.
Well, I mean, it's
going to be controversial.
This is going to be, but that's just how it is. I'm going to say any Bob Dylan song. And I say this because I used to listen to a lot of Bob Dylan and all this. And I am not saying I don't like Bob Dylan or I don't appreciate Bob Dylan. I don't understand what Bob Dylan did for the history of music, et cetera, et cetera. I just mean right now it's hard for me to listen to Bob Dylan. And my partner, Elisa, she has basically a dossier on the reasons why Bob Dylan is terrible. And so, see, I've living with her for the last 17 years. And it's not just me, my friend Donovan, who we all hang out. He has said the same thing. He said, I can't listen to Bob Dylan anymore. Not after Elisa, not after hearing Elisa and some of the things, some of her, objections to Bob Dylan. So that's sort of, I mean, I not totally true. I did listen to some Bob Dylan maybe last year. I put on a record and it was all right. But for the most part, I have a hard time listening to Bob Dylan.
Moving on. So you don't have a most romantic song. Is it the same kind of thing with like love songs? You feel like you're being manipulated?
I don't know what a romantic song is. I don't know what that, maybe, I mean, all your questions this is very similar to having Decker in front of me asking questions to find out if I'm a replicant, because I'm usually a replicant. I don't have any emotions. I don't know about these romance songs, and I don't know. I could just be a replicant.
Do you and Elisa have a song?
No, we don't. I don't think so. I mean, I can't say the first argument we ever got into was when I tried to convince her to buy the Cult's Electric record because she liked the Misfits and like the first Danzig record, and I told her that it was Rick Rubin produced right before, and it had very, very similar production values. And she said she was completely embarrassed to stand in line and buy it. And then she got home and listened to it, and it was one of the worst things she ever heard. So I don't know if that's considered a song, but
That's
it's
well,
really
that's hilarious, man. Okay, well, we're gonna go with that. I don't know. No, that's
yeah.
well, that's fair. We'll just I
No,
guess.
I'll go with Loren Connors. I think Loren Connors is a very Loren
Oh,
Connors.
I think that's I think the
That's
way he plays, there's
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's good.
So I'll go with
I like
any,
that.
a lot of Loren Connors, his airs that he does and the stuff.
Yeah, there
Mooning.
we.
Something off Mooning.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
think Mooning was the first. I think that was the first Lauren. Is that the one? Was that one on Road Cone? I think
Yeah, it was
so.
on Roadcone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
There's
first
a,
one I read.
there's a song on there with singing. I'm going to go with that one. I think that's the most romantic song. There's a couple
Yeah.
with singing, but I think it's track number 9 or something. But yeah.
Oh man, I haven't listened to Mooning in too long. I'm gonna have to go find.
I
Maybe
will,
that's
I'll
even.
send you the song that I'm thinking of so that you could,
Yeah,
say
I'll
what
put it
it
on
is.
the playlist. Oh my god, that's so yeah. I love. Yeah, I remember I was. I think it was like 16 or something, and I heard that and was just like, "Holy shit, who is this guy?"
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
had no idea. It was like advertised in the back of some zine, like a Road Cone ad, and they had a Bug Skull record out, and I knew who Bug Skull was. I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna send like $20 to these people for a
Yeah.
couple things," and randomly, like Mooning had just come out. I think. Oh my god, great record.
Very similar. I got Hell's Kitchen Park first, and I remember it so well of just putting the CD in, hitting play, and the first chord, and I just the first chord, I was just,
Yeah.
well, okay. I remember just thinking like, oh, he's doing it. I don't remember it. I was just remember, oh, he's doing it. Like, oh, he's figured out how to make this kind of music that is
Mhm.
perfect. He's doing it. I remember just thinking that over and over again.
Yeah, whenever people like I've had people ask me like, "Oh, who's like your favorite guitarist?" He's usually the first person that comes to mind. Like,
Me
um,
too. Me too. And it's, um, it's going to be wild the day that, when he finally passes away. And then that's what's then when the saint, Loren Connors, you know, when people start thinking of him the same way Fahey, and then it's going to be very interesting if a bunch of kids and people start playing music just like, because they're not doing it
mhm.
now, which they
Yeah,
should. But you can't really. But yeah, he's one of my
yeah,
favorites.
that's a really interesting thing. How it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people playing like not like Fate, like solo acoustic, whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's not. I can't even think of anybody who. I mean, like you said, you can't play like, but
yeah.
there's nobody even. It feels like trying to do that.
Have you seen the video online? There's a really good YouTube channel, and I'm trying to think. I think it was a woman, and I think she ran Persona Non Grata, uh, a label, and she's put up all. I think this is who it is. Put up all of these amazing videos, and because she lived in Japan as well, so there's videos of, um, like uh I was trying to think, Marble Sheep and a Rundown Son's Children, and there's a video of the first time Heino went to meet Loren, and it's in Loren's apartment, and Loren is playing a concert for Heino, her, and maybe I no, I could be wrong. Maybe it's somebody else who's been putting up these videos. I thought I had an idea who it was, so if it's somebody else, please excuse me. But this video, Loren Connors, he's playing with his 4-track,
Uh-huh.
and I think that whoever's shooting the video sitting on a couch, maybe Heino's there, maybe 2 people. After one song, you'll hear like 2 people clap. And it's one of the greatest things on
Oh,
YouTube for sure. It's amazing.
This is gonna be the first thing I do after we finish
It's
with this.
so
I'm gonna
cool.
go look that up. Like, I mean, the second person that would probably come to mind, my favorite guitarist is Hannah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, wow,
Yeah.
okay,
It's really cool. It's really cool.
okay. So, what's a song that changed your perspective on an artist, either for better or for worse?
A song that changed my perspective on an artist for better or worse.
I don't have the for better or worse thing on the actual questionnaire, but
I don't know if I got that question. I'm
oh,
very ill prepared for this
okay.
question. I don't know.
Well, the thing that you have that it was on the thing that was sent to me was the Rudolph Gray Mask of Light.
Oh, a song that changed your perspective on an artist. You know what? I think I didn't read your question, so we're gonna
Oh,
have to twist this. I thought
okay.
it was a song that changed your a song that changed your perspective on music.
Oh, okay.
Really
That's
interesting. So we'll have to
yeah,
go with that
that
because
works.
Rudolph Gray's Mask of Light, when I got that record, all music changed for me. All music,
Hmm.
acoustic music, everything changed. It was like it made everything possible. It was incredible. I remember putting it on, and I had listened to free music before, free guitar, noise guitar, but something about that record, it just like it made it just opened everything up, and it's one of my
It's an
favorites.
amazing record. I feel like it's a record that I hardly ever hear people talk about. Maybe I'm hanging out with the wrong people, but like it cracked my head open when I heard it the first time too. I don't
Yeah,
even. I mean, and the people who play like the lineup on it is so I mean, it's got like Rashida Lee and then
yeah,
um Jim. God, what's his last name?
yeah. From Forward to Magus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
isn't Alan Licht on one of the songs too?
I think maybe on the flip, yeah, because they
Yeah,
were one of the songs on the flip, and then that led me to Blue Humans and Alan Lake's work and everything. But yeah, that particular record just it opened everything up for me. All music,
yeah,
it made everything possible in a way that
yeah.
I didn't know it was possible.
Yeah. Rudolph Grace seems like a really interesting
Yeah,
figure.
yeah.
Um,
He does seem like an interesting character with his interest in Ed Wood and stuff. He
yeah,
wrote the book on Ed Wood that the movie's based on.
yeah. Like it's such a like yeah. It's such a weird connection like that, and then this record, and then it's such a it's. Hey, I mean, we've all got our things. So I'm not, but
Yeah,
it feels really random, and that's kind of one of the things I love about it. But
yeah. He's amazing, amazing person.
yeah, this is and it's like this is a record that has this ever been reissued? I don't even know. Maybe it has. I feel like someone needs to. If it's
Yeah, somehow make. I wonder. I haven't checked it on Discogs, but I bet it's like $2 too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Um, but yeah, such a good record.
yeah. God. Okay. Well, I love that answer. Yeah, that changed your perspective. Yeah, that would change my perspective on everything. Good lord.
Yeah, whenever I'm in New York and I see Tom Segal, I get the update. I always ask him, "How's Rudolph doing?" He's like, "Oh, he's not leaving his house." Or, when "Hey, you got Rudolph to come out to play?" He's like, "He's not interested in that." So I do
God,
like
how
to get
old is
that.
he now?
I don't know. Yeah, I
He's
don't
got to be
know.
getting up there.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, so you didn't have any favorite lyrics, so
I don't know. It's just so tough.
well, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, like, what is your approach to writing lyrics? Like, when you're writing stuff for Six Organ songs,
Mm.
is it just kind of? I'm always
Um,
curious, like, how people write. Because yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It happens like all sorts of ways. Sometimes I take notes. Sometimes um, I have a I have, how should I say, there's sort of I have a bit of a lack of an ability to work with language in a way. I think because I when I was growing up, uh, grew up out in the middle of nowhere with no friends in a way, so I didn't have a lot of interactions with people. So I have a hard time talking to people, and even uh, when I first started Six Organs and I had to play shows, it was really difficult for me to even talk to people. It's kind of contributed to some serious alcoholism at the beginning because it was the only way that I
Yeah,
could go to a show, communicate with people, etc. I'm just a pretty shy
yeah,
person, and that also has caused problems because shy people often are called this or that, or that being elitist, or not wanting to talk. But really, I have a difficult time
yeah.
talking with people, and that goes over into writing music a lot. I have a hard time communicating, and I'm sorry,
Hmm.
I don't mean to be laying on the couch right now, telling, having you be my therapist. I feel like we just went a therapy. Well, but
I'll
if you
bill you
want to
after
know,
this.
it is hard for me. So there are things that I have to do. So, and actually one of them is I usually have to maybe drink a little wine or something, and just to even start to think about language. Um, but a lot of the lyrics are done phonetically at
Mm,
first, and then I go back over and then I write words to the melodies and how the consonants and words kind of fit together. In a way, actually, probably influenced a bit by someone like Buzz from
yeah.
Melvins. In the way his lyrics are very phonetic. I try to find a little more meaning than having them be a totally surreal line of lyrics like "lock or tiptoe rest" or something. Um, try to have my I know what they're about. So, but
Right.
that's sort of how I form them. Yeah.
That's really interesting. No, I can relate to that a lot. I mean, you think like I have a hard time talking to people. It's like, oh, well, it's good that you started a website where you interview people all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
it is. It's like, yeah, and
Well, there's probably a part of you that knew that that would be good for you as a person, and to force you to do that. And I feel a little bit of the same way. If I didn't get into music, I might not have ever even left my town ever, and I might not have ever made any friends outside
mhm,
of my town. So it's this little carrot
absolutely.
that your
Yeah,
subconscious dangles in front of you, to say like you kind of have to get out there and better yourself as a human being.
yeah. I mean, and like it was kind of a big part of why like I started doing like some of the interview like podcast stuff because I'm fucking terrible at transcribing things and I hate it. It's my least favorite thing in the world to do. So I was like,
Oh, I hear you.
oh, so I can just do this and just put out the audio, and then it's like best of both worlds. But I realize as because a couple years ago, like I quit my job because my wife got a new job that she has like a hour commute every each way every day, and it kind of we were just having a hard time balancing things. So it was like okay, and luckily it's like the place she worked paid her enough that where it was like okay, it's going to be tight, but we can absorb this or whatever. But I realized like I'm like the person I'm spending the most time with is my kid, who she's 10 and she's like my favorite person, but she's 10.
Mhm.
And I just realized I'm gonna go crazy. I gotta talk to people more. I just gotta come up with, so it's like,
Right.
all right, let me come up with reasons to, you know,
Right.
have actual one-on-one conversations. And then so,
Interesting. Yeah, exactly.
but that is interesting. Yeah, no, I think yeah, I mean, music got me out of, off the couch, out of the house. And I mean, so many of the people I know and consider my like really close friends, I wouldn't know them if it wasn't for all this.
Same. Same.
So
That's the absolute best thing that has come out of playing music is meeting people and becoming friends with people I wouldn't have met
yeah,
before.
absolutely. All right. So the next one is, what is the song that you can or have listened to the most?
I mean, I would have to go back to that Melvins, because Melvins with Teeth, it's
Yeah,
such an easy song to put on repeat. It's
it
like a
is.
short song, which, I mean, I kind of picked that move up from the first single from the new record. It's very short, and it was kind of along the same idea. I mean, I'm still, oh, with Teeth is only like 2 minutes long, and then you want to put it on repeat. You don't give everything. And so instead of continuing to write after I was like, I'm going to keep this a little short, like Melvin's
Yeah.
with Peace. I've taken so much from that song, like chord progressions, melodies, ideas, this and that. It's crazy. That's one that keeps giving, but it's one of my favorites. But probably I would say that, or possibly maybe that Town song, "Don't Take It Too Bad." I tend,
Oh,
I tend to put that
yeah.
on repeat a lot as well. So that,
That's a good
that
one.
tends to be a repeat song. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those are, yeah, that's good. I hadn't thought about with Teeth in a long time until I got this list. And I think I've probably listened to it like 30 times in the
It
last
it
week.
asks to be listened to on repeat. There's something, the way they constructed
Yeah.
it. It's perfect.
It's so good. What's the last song you completely fell in love with?
Um, that would probably, the last song that I would put on repeat and listen to over and over again, would be the Arthur Russell "Picture of a Bunny Rabbit" song that came out on that last record that he did, or
Yeah.
that the record that came out that was
Right.
archival stuff, which Yeah, I mean that song is. I heard that he had some sort of rack-mounted gear in the studio. I think it was some kind of delay thing. You can find out what it is. I heard. I did know what it was. And during the song, they're they're having the signal go through this rack-mounted delay, and they're kind of just switching the different settings on the delay,
Oh,
and it
uh-huh.
totally fucks with the sound. So you'll hear the instrument, the cello, and then it'll be playing, and then it'll go,
Right.
and they're basically switching to the different effects, the different types. Well, I think it's all delay, but the different settings on it. But
Yeah.
the effect is just so incredible, and I was just absolutely loved it, and it was really cool to hear a new Arthur Russell that was, uh, I mean, uh, that was so good.
Yeah.
Really, like I really, really love that record. I thought that they
It's
did a
really
really good
good.
job. And that's, I don't know if you, so between that record and the book that Matt Marble wrote, Buddhist Bubblegum, that I can't recommend that enough. Even if you're at the point where you think, I've had enough Arthur Russell, or the reissue campaign's getting a little more wild. I think it was, yeah, my partner Lisa said that Arthur Russell was the Tupac of the indie world. Like there's a lot of just keeps coming. But the even if you're getting a little tired, the I would say the book is so cool. I mean, it's about Arthur's. I didn't realize uh, how much he was into like Fluxus style compositions, and it
Oh, that's
talks about
interesting.
all of these Fluxus style compositions that he did, where there would be different players, and each one had a little earpiece in that was being fed signal to this and that. And then he has a completely crazy system that he had developed for music composition as well. And the whole book is great. Matt Marble is, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah.
He runs the, what is it, the Paramusicology website. And just it's a fantastic book. I can't, yeah.
I'm gonna have to get it.
It's,
I saw it and yeah, I gotta, I have piles of books. It's one of those things where it's like, you have piles of books to read and I'm like, oh, do I need another book? No. Yeah. Why
yeah.
not?
Well, I think it was Borges who said that. I think this isn't the exact quote, but something to the effect of, "I, like most people with the library, am saddened by the fact that I'm not intimately familiar with every single one of my books."
Yeah.
So you get them, and then maybe in 2 or 3 years pick them up or something like that. But
Yeah.
that book is really just to explore different ideas of composition and how deep he got
Mm-hmm.
into it.
That
Yeah,
does sound really
highly
interesting.
recommend it.
Especially that's like something I've been thinking about a lot too, just like in my own work and doing more like text-based composing and different things. And so I've been trying to read
Oh,
stuff on. Yeah.
I bet you would find this very inspiring. I found it very inspiring. Actually, Matt was on a episode of Aquarium Drunkard podcast speaking about the book. So you can check out that Matt
Oh,
Marble
nice.
episode and see if it still seems like something, because that's what sold me. I thought, do I really need this book? And then when Matt was talking about the different compositional techniques that he used, I thought, oh yeah, I got to get this. And sure enough, it's a really, really good
Okay. I got like all sorts of things to do after this. I'm gonna check that out. The Loren Connors high note thing. That's, I mean, hey, that sounds like a good way to spend the next hour before I go pick my kid up.
No, yeah.
Okay. Last question. What's your favorite song? At least as of this moment, what is your favorite song?
Um, it's usually always Brie Inch's Blackwater side. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I just like, um,
It's like one of the greatest things.
I just like, that's a song. I have the CD in my car, and it's always just on repeat. You're listening to it, and I listen to it again, and then you just have it on. I don't know. And that song gets stuck in my head probably more than any
Yeah.
other song as well. So yeah,
Are there
it's
any other versions that you really like?
um, I do like yeah. There are other versions that I like, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Something hard to describe, but his own particular version, like that one from, not even like a different live version, or like just the one from that record. That
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite version. I really like the Ann Briggs version too, but just mostly because I listen to Ann Briggs sing anything. And
Yeah, I was just defending Anne Briggs the other day. A friend texted me and made a comment about, I forget the way he put it, but he used Anne Briggs as a sort of signifier, as someone who was sort of, I don't know, light folk, um, maybe not a heavy person. I was like, no way. I was like, Anne Briggs is one of the toughest, heaviest, like folk
yeah,
people ever. Like you have your facts wrong. Yeah,
wow,
I do like her version too.
yeah.
Yeah,
But well, that's the last question. So this is a lot of fun. This was seriously a lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun. Yes, it was.
And the new record. So I don't know when this episode will come out, but the new record is out on April 26th. Are you doing any touring or anything?
Yeah, setting some stuff up. Probably do West Coast, all the the places.
Yeah.
I was really behind on getting stuff, so everything's kind of last minute. There's some miscommunication, but we're getting it together. So yeah, go out.
All right, everybody, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, time is
Awesome.
glass.
Thanks, Brett. Awesome.
Once again, thank you to Ben Chasny for taking the time out for doing this questionnaire and just going all in on it. As always, you can hear these episodes, an extended version of them on Patreon, patreon.com/Foxy Digitalis, for as little as $3 a month. Every dollar goes to helping support the site, supporting the podcast, and just keeping it all going, keeping the lights on, if you will. And I appreciate all of you who've signed up and are doing that. And if that's not for you, take that $3, that $5, whatever, put it towards picking up a copy of Time is Glass, which is, of course, out on April 26th via Drag City. Listen to Ben's picks via the link in the show notes to the playlist on YouTube. And otherwise, keep on listening whatever the hell you want.